Okay, so I'll call the meeting to order. First things on the agenda is approval of minutes of July 19th, July 25th. Motion to approve.
They didn't get sent out, so do you want to read them first?
It didn't get sent out? You didn't get these?
Well, I didn't get them.
So I thought,
I looked, I didn't see it. I think I heard them, yeah.
no, I'm not reading these. I'll make a motion that we accept or approve the minutes of July 19th and July 25th.
I'll second that. Everybody ready to vote?
Is Roger going to come over?
He may come over. Get all the coated pink and blue bridges.
Yes, I did. I will say I had difficulty determining north and south, which is not usually a problem. But we can talk about that when we get to it.
Right.
I didn't see it on the map.
Mhm.
So this motion on the Valley Road Bridge, didn't we say we weren't gonna do the borings? Selectman Brantley made the motion to accept Leonard Engineering's proposal to do the work of survey, work plan, borings, and calculations for $15,000. Didn't we say we weren't gonna do borings?
The subsequent meeting, I believe.
Further down, there's another motion,
Okay. Oh, okay.
something about
Yeah, Roger came
as
in.
needed, just in case you didn't
Right.
need the volume, but it wasn't quite determined.
And we revisited that at the
Oh, right,
following
right, right.
meeting.
Keep reading. Okay.
Okay,
I'm ready.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda is additions to the agenda. I have one, which is a senior van. Are there any other additions? All in favor of adding the senior van to the... Aye. Communications, got a couple minor ones. Tonight, got something from the Department of Transportation that is studying, conducting a bat survey in the West Cornwall Covered Bridge, August 2nd to 5th.
DOT is doing a bat survey?
Correct.
Okay.
They're surveying using acoustic detector devices which have microphones mounted on poles and detectors, which is secured in plastic locked containers. We conducted the survey in conjunction with our on-call consultant, Steve Johnson, WSCA Inc. Anyway, if you go through the bridges I did tonight, you'll see a few little microphones there. I'll pass this on if anybody wants to follow up on.
Are there bats that live in there?
We'll find out. I'm sure there's ones to visit. Also on the bridge, there's going to be a fashion shoot for Bill's Khakis in West Cornwall on August 23rd. So whether the bats will be in the khaki video or not is to be determined, but there will be people on location on August 23rd, and there's procedures they're following to use that without impacting traffic flow. So anyway, a little extra publicity for West Cornwall is welcome, and I think that will be, see what happens. Also, the other communication I had was that you can see the railing project is underway. And they're taking the top rail off. He's gonna put the extension piece underneath the rail, and the mesh work is starting to be installed there. So anyway, he's hoped to get that done in a couple weeks, working on Fridays. So that's all I had for communications. Anyone else have any communications? Public comments? Welcome to the public. Also welcome to John Sanders, Park and Recreation Chairman. Also good to have a chairman visit us and bring us up to date what they're doing, including filling the vacancy for Park and Rec Director appointments. So John, come on up and say hi.
I will come up. Make it easier for you.
I have one additional thing besides the director appointment, which we'll talk about in just a second. The Western New England Greenway is a group of people that have gotten a route from Montreal to New York City designated as a national U.S. bicycle route recently. And we just had a ride through here last Saturday and Sunday, a couple days ago. They came up from New York, stopped in Cornwall, spent the night. There was about 12 people that spent the night throughout Cornwall in different locations, and then continued on and just finished up the trip yesterday in Montreal. And everybody, I hope, is home and safe and sound right now. So they were out on the road about 8 days, I think. I rode with them for 3 days, went up to Manchester, Vermont, all the way through Massachusetts up into Vermont, and it was just a wonderful ride. Very fun, very great people on the ride. The ride is basically to get people to know about this route. And so it's not really a thing that's open to the public, this particular ride, where they're trying to bring money in or anything like that. It's just for publicity and to work on the route. But I just wanted to give a shout out to a lot of the people, the local people that were responsible for it, which would be Terry and Raymond Burke, and Pat Hare and Bonnie Van Gilder have all been involved in this particular project and other projects involving cycling in the region. And also, I wanted to thank let me think, you guys know these people, the Upper Housatonic Valley National Heritage Area. They gave us some money for a couple of different things. They have some funding, and that it made the trip possible. But it's really interesting. I think cycling is something that Park and Rec, we can't really do too much with it right now because the roads are a little bit tough in certain places, but we encourage people to exercise, of course, and it's a big part of the community right now. I noticed a lot of cyclists out this weekend, and it's a big time of year. I think we have we have the Tour of the 12 Hills is coming through our area. I believe that's next weekend, so we should all be on the lookout for that. So I want to thank those people for sure. And other than that, I would like
Just one follow-up.
Oh,
on
sure.
that, because the board did push DOT to extend the bike width, even though it's not technically a bike lane on Route 4 and the repaving project. So I did talk to the project supervisor and thanked him for that, and you're still able to drive perfectly safely down Route 4, but hopefully as bicycles become more prevalent as a form of transportation, that I've encouraged them to continue that all the way around as they do Route 7 and they do 125, 128, hopefully into West Cornwall.
Has anybody ridden it besides me?
because the Greenway actually goes up Route 7.
It does, but
Right, not up Route 4.
we could,
The other
it can
route
always
would
be
work
changed.
better, but-
We've talked before they did the Route 4, it wasn't as safe, and it wasn't that much safer than Route 7. But now, I've ridden it twice since they repaved it.
Route 4.
And
Route 4 is way safer than 7.
It is now, it's
Well,
amazing.
it was before. It
Well,
still had bigger.
It
shoulders.
was wider, but the road was in terrible shape.
Oh, for sure.
And so you couldn't ride on the
Yeah, you had
shoulder,
to be
on my bike at least. I would have a difficult time riding on the shoulder.
Right.
So it's wonderful. And thank you for pushing that, because it makes a big difference. And if we can continue to do that.
Did you notice the difference that it's wider?
You notice the difference, that particular shoulder, and it may not always work out this way. It may not work this way on Route 7. The shoulder goes all the way to the edge, so you can ride basically all the way to the edge. And if you've ever ridden a bike anywhere around here, you know that's not really possible in most places. But that particular shoulder is really wide, and it's really in good shape right now. And it'll deteriorate as the years go by, but right now it's amazing. And that narrowing of the lanes, I've ridden that probably 50 times since I've lived here, and usually when you ride up that road, you do get buzzed a little bit by the big trucks, and sometimes it's a semi-truck, sometimes it's just a big pickup truck. And if they're going 65 and you're going 6, it's not a good situation. So it's much better, and it really makes a difference. So everybody who rides bicycles on Route 4 is very happy about that.
Yeah, good things.
I've seen a lot more bicyclists this year on Route 7 than I've ever seen between here and Canaan.
There's a lot of cyclists out this year.
Yeah, I was also almost wondering about signage. Like when you go to other states, they'll have like signage at the beginning of Route 7 from here, like just a little,
Share the
a
road.
little bike or a share the road thing.
Share the
So
road's
it's sort
not a
of in your
bad thing.
head kind of
Right.
thing when you're going down, and all of a sudden there's a car coming and a bicyclist at the same time. I have to slow down.
Well, we won't ask for money for that right now, but it's something that that my board is talking about, signage on a variety of different things. So that I think that when we look at people coming up here for a variety of different reasons, whether it be fishing or biking or whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
it's good to have some.
Will it be signage on a state road, so would it be the Greenway that would ask the state for it?
The Greenway's in talks with it as well, but I mentioned to them, that maybe those are things that we can all work. There's a lot of people that are involved in
Right.
it.
Oh, I know.
So the Upper Housatonic Valley people may have some money. There's money from a lot of different sources.
Good.
So
All
that
right.
continues. That subject's going to be here in 6 months. So I'll talk about it.
Okay.
And so the big thing we need to do is the board would like to recommend Jennifer Marco to take the interim part off of her title right now to become the director. We did do some interviews, and we had, besides Jennifer, we had another great candidate, but the board is very comfortable with the work Jennifer's been doing, and we had many recommendations that we're very happy with her service so far. So that's what we'd like to recommend.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we hire Jennifer Marco as a full-time Park and Rec director, not interim, and,
Full-time
It's
or
not
just
full-time.
official?
well, I mean,
Yeah.
let's use it right.
Regular, I mean,
Let's use her, let's just hire her as Park and Rec director, period.
Second.
Any discussion? I'd like to say also, I've heard very positive comments from her, and having her here a couple days a week, know she is energetic, expanded some programs, seems to really have a good energy to bring to the job, and has a good eye on the budget, and as well as servicing people in the town of Cornwall. So I think it's a great way it's worked out.
I agree.
I'd like to thank the selectmen and the town for their support, really.
Right.
We appreciate it.
Good,
Thank
good to
you.
have everybody work together. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, and thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, onto the Valley Road Bridge. Met with Roger this morning. He's over in the wetlands right now, working on the permit side of things. You've got an enclosure or a forward map from Dave Batista, our engineer, with several technical questions. And which seems like it's working itself through between Roger, Leonard Engineering, and the engineer at the concrete company. So they're working through most of these questions. The budget still seems to be pretty good. We had to, the engineer increased the size of the culvert, so that also increased the budget slightly, well, increased the budget for the box from 32,000 to 50,000. That seems to be holding at this point. So right now, we're still looking at a budget somewhere around between $135,000 and $150,000. So I think we're good. The timeline of doing the work the week of September 12th is also doing well, and I'm meeting with the fire marshal and the fire chief to talk about pre-planning the fire protection aspect next week.
Is it gonna work that we can get that truck from Lime Rock, or that's
I
not
think
gonna
so.
happen?
I think so. There's also talk of getting a second truck or additional resources, so Fred and Stan McMillan are talking and thinking about water supply, and maybe put some portable pumps over there, or what kind of rescue medical resources do we need over there too. So, we still have some time to figure that out, and remember the highway department also put us on to a source of fire equipment in New Haven that rent out trucks. We need to rent a truck. So, anyway,
One of the questions, there was a discussion of the box being lowered, possibly enlarged.
yeah, I think
Has that been,
I think the enlargement is the what we talked about in the past.
well,
You're saying the depth, like make it,
the depth, yeah, I think that's one of the things that
and
David
then that
had.
impacted private property too, so are all these people on board?
They're on board on fixing it. They haven't seen these plans yet.
Which means to get official permission from them?
Yeah, we'd have to have a permission to work even on their property, even if we didn't put the wing wall, but they're, as we said the last meeting, very enthusiastic, cooperative about having people not just use the property here, but use some of their land for parking if it's necessary, so
That's good.
people are very cooperative.
So I will ask, is this side or this side?
Downstream?
Well, yeah, I mean, up or
Yeah,
down?
Which, where's the northern arrow?
The only,
That would be helpful on these maps. Kinda weird that it doesn't have it.
I'm gonna tell you what I what I've come to my conclusions.
Right.
It appears as if the streams, this is going downstream, and then it turns. But I actually think it's the other way, because
Yeah.
it says
Yeah,
right
it's
This way
here,
too.
it says, I held the position of the southern abutment and widened the northern side. This is the one that doesn't move. And then I believe this abutment does move. So it's not,
So you have to actually hold the map upside down to read what he's saying there.
well, I mean, you can hold it the other way, but this is south, this is going up, going up the hill, that's the
Okay.
valley.
Yep, because also this side of the bridge is wider than this side because you're going into, Roger had some technical transportation name, this is widening out to go into a Y between going to the castle and up. So this is the wider, I mean, it said one side of the bridge is wider than the other, that's why I didn't.
Even though we just all think.
So he's just skewing this side
Right.
and widening
But it's
these
ordered.
out.
Right. And there's talk of, because normally a culvert is going 90 degrees to the road, and the engineers felt it's better because of the stream channel to keep it skewed the way it is now. And Roger said, well, you could change it, but that's why you have engineers, because they know what's works. The wing walls are, wider, much wider than what we have now, but again, that's to make it last. Make sure the water stays in the hole instead of underneath. And Roger may be here later, talk to any questions, but it sounds like everything is proceeding, and hopefully the engineers will get on the same page this week and be able to get the final shop drawings done to start the pour.
Right, I mean, this is sort of standard
Yeah, I'm not
procedure.
gonna-
You start off with kind of what we had. Kind of
Right.
what we had was 6-foot box by whatever it was, 10 feet.
6 by
And
9.
then 6 by 9, and then.
Now we're 13 by 10, but you have to
Right.
bury it, so,
Right, and by the time we're done, it'll be
right, but
probably
it's,
bigger.
well, I think it's gonna stay the same, it's bigger.
Well,
Why-
whatever,
yeah.
I mean,
Anyway, I
the
think-
wing walls are bigger, it just,
Right,
it becomes a much bigger project, and the point of that is that it'll take,
But him sinking that down and then us having to repave everything over the top, that's all,
mhm.
it's fine, it's not crazy out of the ordinary.
No. Because I think, there's the discussion about the natural bottom of the thing, and
Yeah.
there's
makes
concern
sense.
about the fact that you
But if
have,
you're dropping your bottom, then it drops your top, so,
or they just make it taller.
or make it taller, which then had affected the wing walls. So there were questions there of the company if that could all
yeah,
be done.
Right, and I mean, I could perceive that they also asked about adding some anchors for the guardrails, anchors for the guardrails, so I think that that's these are just gonna be added costs, it's not, I don't think large added costs, but just
No,
some
I
additional
don't think
costs, it's not a big deal, whatever it be.
right.
That's why we have a budget. We
Right.
fit in the budget and make it happen.
Seems like it's all coming together.
One of the things that's in the original plan with the contractor, they will install the box, the wing walls, put the gravel back, put everything back, but that didn't necessarily include paving it?
Yes,
It did include
did.
paving.
Did.
It did include paving,
Mhm.
okay.
And beam rail.
And beam rail,
Mhm.
okay. I just can't remember what the original.
That was the deal. Okay, so we reviewed it, and if Roger gets here before we adjourn, we can ask him any additional questions, but it seemed like the 5 things that we're talking about as far as engineering permits, timeline, fire, and there's something else.
Yeah. What were his additional concerns? Because he said, well, I'm gonna stop there until I know I have approval. I shouldn't go much further until we discuss the foregoing. So is there much further?
No, it sounded like everybody's on the same, it sounds like people are on the same.
Okay.
Right, so you got the engineering, you got the permits, you got the fire, you got the budget, timeline, so it's pretty much as we thought last time. And so we will, table that until Roger comes, if there's any questions for him. Next, energy audits, we have, participated, the consultant Eversource, hired, came through the town office and town garage last week and just took down some data on energy audits. So we'll get a report back from him probably within a month.
And who was that, Eversource did that?
Yeah, they hired an energy contractor.
But essentially it's Eversource doing that.
No,
Eversource is paying for it, but there's a contractor that is doing it.
Right.
So, town meeting coming up on August 12th, 7:30 here, about the West Cornwall water sewer study. So we'll encourage people to attend that, to hear what's going on. So that's set in the paper. You know what day that's going on in the paper, Joyce?
Thursday.
Thursday, good. Highway summer work. Jim has hired the screening machine, and we've hired a large loader to run it, and he figures in 3 weeks he'll probably make enough for 2 years sand supply for the roads down at the gravel bank. So that's underway now. They're also screening the chips that we've we've recycled off the road from our chip sealing, so we'll be able to use that when we chip seal the village in the summer. So we're using the screener for about 3 weeks. He also...
The chip sealer is screening the chips from...
When we chip seal a road, we then sweep it, so we've stockpiled a whole pile of 3/8 stones.
Yeah.
So now we are screening it to get any sticks or
Clean it up.
clean it up, and so it looks like clean material when we're done. And then we'll move the screener down to the gravel bank and just start screening sand into sand and gravel for roads and winter use.
I assume that because the gravel bank has been cleaned up,
Yeah.
all the stumps have been removed,
Mhm.
or ground up and removed, that,
Did we get them all removed? Did we for that price?
Yep.
Awesome.
so there's a lot more room.
There's more room. We're gonna also use this big loader to keep on pushing things around and make more room.
Right, so, it's like, once it's cleaned up, now it's a lot easier for them to get the screener down there.
Right.
And maneuver and.
Yeah, looks good. Also, Jim wants to do 200 tons of extra shimming when he does the paving. We spent about $223,000 on redoing Pritchard Road, Baldwin, and Town Street North. And while we were up there, there's a section of Yelping Hill, the north or the east end of Yelping Hill hasn't been done, and it could use a shim coat. So he estimates for 200 tons, the same price. We can take care of that, so that whole section of town will be finished. And we have the budget to do it. So I'd make a motion that we allow Jim to expand the contract award by 200 tons to A&J Paving to shim part of Yelping Hill.
I assume A&J Paving would have no problem with that.
No problem, they're in the area, and let it go, let's get it done.
10 more trucks, they just.
Right.
Just do it.
So is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And then,
Well, hang on, do we do our own roadside mowing, or do we hire that out?
we do it,
We do it ourselves?
yeah.
Is that a cog machine?
No,
that
we have
or
two
not?
mowers. One we put on the front of our loader, take the bucket off, I think, and put a mower on the front. And the second one we have is tractor, that's all it does. It has a 3.3 or 4 foot boom that goes over the guardrails and does 3 feet at a time. So they're making their way around town.
So two different guys working at the same time, or one guy, he starts
It
here and then
depends.
he goes with the other one over the guy?
It depends on the day and what else we're doing. And we also rented out a vacuum truck to suck out catch basins. They were doing that for 2 weeks, so depending on who is, and then they had the screener thing going this time, so now we have one person just finishing up the roads that haven't been gone through.
Yeah,
So they're still,
yeah, they seem
Moving.
busy.
so it's nice, they've almost got it all done, but there's some sections that they still have to do, but hopefully within 2 weeks they'll get that done. So we're in good shape. Next is the senior van. I sent you the email that we got from Goshen saying the senior van is due for delivery in August, probably by mid-August.
I didn't get any of these.
You didn't get
I
that?
didn't get that one either.
Well, we got an email from
It's coming when? Mid-August?
Bob Valentine that it was a copy of an email from the salesman saying the thing's been produced and should be available for pickup mid-August to late August. So I'm going over with our social worker Jane Sellery to meet with the Goshen counterparts and talk things like schedule and what we want to call it or whatever else. I think the Goshen Cornwall Senior Van is a decent name. I don't think we want to call it Lizzie or give it something cute.
Can you look to see if you sent those to me?
I will.
I'm not
Did
seeing
you get
them
it?
anywhere.
I'm not sure about that last one, I don't really know. I don't
That
remember.
would be
Today,
that
did
in
you
the
check
minutes
this
too.
afternoon?
Oh, I did not,
Today?
definitely didn't get it today.
Yeah, I don't think I got it today.
Just look, because I want to see if it's my system or my phone. I want to try to figure that out.
Okay, so stay tuned. So maybe by next meeting we'll,
And who's going to keep that schedule? Like so people call, they're going to call into dial-a-ride?
they're calling into the Northwest Transit District. Tammy at the Northwest Transit District in Torrington will be the
Transit
dispatcher.
district, and they'll dispatch.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So, and we'll also have a subsequent meeting with her, and she'll do all the grants and all the state reimbursements and all that stuff, keep tracks of the mileage and all that for us.
Good.
So I think it sounds promising. So, that's all I had. Any public comments?
You're gonna publicize the van?
Absolutely, that's one of the things we're talking
You
about.
gotta really push that.
Yeah. Yes,
Is it possible to ask a question? I remember.
sure. Just for showing up, you get to ask. We may not have the answer, but you can ask the question.
There's a cell tower, which has apparently been built off Ample Swamp Road,
Correct.
and it's not being used, and I gather it's owned by Verizon, but they've somehow decided not to use it. Is the town doing anything about it? Should we?
The town at this point is not doing anything about it. We've got reassurances that apparently it was not built by Verizon, it was built by they subcontracted it out. And so I have, through our contacts with the building official, because they had to get a permit to do it, we said like, what's going on, folks? Because they spent a lot of money and they put in a big road and all this thing. You'd think it wouldn't cost much to put a tower or a transmitter up there. So we are trying to follow up and encourage them to activate it. So we are following up through our contacts with the people that built it to try to get coverage in this general area.
They did-
My
they
sense
got an
is that
extension on it,
Verizon
They-
has sort of stopped building towers for whatever reason.
And so is AT&T.
Yeah.
And
Everybody's
they
Everybody's out of town.
have gone in whatever they call a different direction. Would it make any sense for the town to actually buy that or lease it from Verizon and try to promote other, cell companies to put antennas up there so that the whole thing can be of some use?
I think a better way is to put pressure, as other people have, saying this is an underserved area. I mean, I would not want to know how much they spent to build it, but I would think it's 6, if not 7 digits, which the town
Really?
doesn't have to do.
$1 million tower.
Probably, that's generally what they cost, especially if you gotta put in a complicated access road, which they did. They had to blast, they had to do a bunch of stuff. So I don't think we're gonna be buying it, but we can go to the DPUC because they have to have some proof of coverage in order to operate in there. So there is a vice that we can use to put pressure on them. They have applied for extensions for operating it, and certainly we can, and I can do that. Just call up a DPUC and say, listen, what's going on with this? You gave them the permit, you know, everybody participated in the hearings, you made them do it in a place that's fairly benign as far as its site, so what's up? And I know in other places like Washington Depot, they had a tower in the middle of Washington Depot that nobody wanted to put power, nobody wanted to put a tower on. Eventually they pressured the companies into doing it. So, do you have service at your house?
No, I'm not worried about service particularly, it just seems to me that it's a tower sitting there that could serve the whole town, at least this end of it, and it's not being used.
Right. Okay, well, I will try to follow that up with the DPUC.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other questions or comments? Yes?
Hi, I'm very interested in the senior van. I think it's a great
Right.
addition to the town. I'm wondering how it's gonna be used.
What will happen is we will publicize it so people can call into a dispatcher and say, I need to go here on a certain date, and then they'll try to coordinate that. And what we have to work out with Goshen, because we're sharing it with Goshen, is whether we have like a Cornwall day, or we have like a day to go to Sharon, or a day to go to Torrington, or whatever else. We're gonna have to, you know, figure it out as time goes on, and there may be more people in Cornwall that use it than people in Goshen. But the primary use will be for medical appointments. That seems to be the biggest need, and then there will also be a ability to do other things, like if people want to go shop, say you have a Wednesday shopping day in Torrington, have that happen. So I think there's a good opportunity there to give people some mobility. So we're working it out, and I'm sure there will be other, there'll be some innovations we go along, but I think I know it's a
And
need
what
in
are
the
the
area.
hours gonna be for usage?
It's mostly Monday to Friday, and I assume 8 to 4 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
And how does that work with the chore service, because they're also providing rides, right?
I don't know of the chore service provider, right?
No, the chore service, they used to be able to provide rides, but now they can drive the client's car, but they cannot drive the client in their cars.
Really?
Yeah, they had some funding at one point where they got insurance so that the chore service worker could drive the client in their car, but they lost that funding. So now they can only drive the client in the client's car, which not all
There are,
seniors have, so then they're
That's not
stuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
there's also other vans that are available from Gear.
And Northwest Transit.
North Transit has a bus service that comes through town, but a lot of times if people have singular appointments, it's very hard to go
Right.
to Canaan and then to go to Sharon and then go back to Lakeville. It takes all day, and if you're not well, that's a lot to ask. So anyway, then usually from other towns we've talked to, it usually takes a year to get up to capacity, to get people comfortable with the idea and things. But I think we have a good social worker, and there'll be a lot of words put out about it once we get the logistics figured out.
I'm determining the logistics, it's sort of
Right.
largest,
But we're not the first town to do it, so I think we've got a lot of the people that are dispatching to do it for other towns too, so. Good, thank you. Roger Kane's here, our project manager for the Valley Road Bridge. We've discussed everything, said we're on budget, on schedule, permits have been applied for, right? Any idea when the permit will be granted?
A month from 4 weeks.
Right.
Next month's meeting. We're anticipating a construction start the second week of September.
Right.
So the next regular meeting of the Inland Wetland Commission, they've got a month to review the plans and so forth. There will be further data as far as the location of the water pumping will be indicated on the plans. The commission has asked for that, as well as a statement on these are working drawings rather than the actual construction plans. So by the time the next meeting is held, they'll be the actual construction plans that we'll be able to give to town on Rowell, expecting to follow them.
Great.
They saw these updated plans from today,
These are updated from today.
right? So that wetland saw these plans.
Yes,
tonight?
right. They did. But they want more detail as far as construction procedure, water handling procedures, which is, the back page is a whole group of paragraphs that are pretty standard paragraphs, but they want them incorporated on the
That's what
plans.
Leonard will Leonard prepare those for us?
Yes, right. CSI prepares what are called shop drawings, which is how to construct the culvert itself. But as far as how to place it, how to locate it, how to handle the water, that will be done by Leonard and turned over to the contractor. So that's all on target for the moment.
And CSI had no problems with any of the changes in terms of building the box or putting the camp in it, or they do all that, that's all? part
Right,
of the process?
as far as the skew, there's a 15-degree skew, which
Excuse me.
I was going to see if we couldn't eliminate it, but they actually convinced, or I should say Dave Batista convinced me that by putting the skew in, it makes the wing walls short. Instead of having 16-foot wing walls, we can go down to 13 to 14-foot wing walls. So it'll be less material used. And as far as the skew goes, instead of being a regular rectangle, it's just slightly skewed. They're still able to cast that vertically. So it won't make any difference. It should not make any difference to CSI. I haven't talked to them directly today. I did talk to them yesterday. And they're going to, their structural engineer is a man by the name of Christopher Vick. And he knows Dave Batista. They've worked on the Nettleton Hollow Road Bridge here in Washington. So it'll be much less of a skew than on that.
It's skewing culverts, that's fairly standard, that
Yeah.
happens all the time.
It just helps align the stream with the road.
Great, so our budget's holding, engineers seem to be working themselves out.
Everybody's
Permitting is getting permitted.
Right.
And timeline seems to be good for September. Good. Any other questions for Roger? Great, thank you for keeping things together, organized, on track.
Well,
We'll see what happens.
we'll see what happens.
Right,
Tomorrow's a new day.
right, good.
When do we need to when do we need to give the go to CSI to have the culvert here for the week of the 12th? Is that the week that we're planning on doing this?
Yes.
So when do we,
We've already done that. We've issued a purchase order. Barbara has issued a purchase order to the CSI. So they've got to do their preliminary engineering. They've got to draw this up, this specific structure. So they're doing that right now. They're working on it. And they're working in conjunction with Dave Batista as far as what the skew should be. What
so
the angle should be.
they are talking to each other
Right,
to get the,
I
okay.
suggested that they talk to each other directly.
Stay out of the way, is that kind of like?
Well, I'm in the loop, but they cut me in for copies of, we had a list of questions as far as, what are we gonna do about this, what are we gonna do about that? One of the things that the inland wetlands wanted to be assured of is that there will be the bottom of the culvert will be set low enough that there will be a natural terrain to the bottom of the culvert. It won't be just a concrete box. So there'll be rocks and mud and earth and raccoons can wade up and down.
But not dam it up.
Hmm?
But not dam it
No,
up.
hopefully not.
Right, good. Okay, sounds good. Any other questions for Roger? Great,
Okay.
okay. All right, I think that's it, other than paying bills. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
All right,